to a certain extent.
So you've created a very important space where people can come and have peer group support. It's almost like you've got a common space for community here, where everybody was working, the Binners were all working individually on their own. And we know that at Rural Roads, for example, the most effective learning is peer group learning. We call it cohort-based models. And that's where sometimes the most meaningful change comes. So by providing, it's interesting to me, by providing a space, then community, and then out of that grows networks between the people of support for one another.
Can do, though it's again limited, and so some of the support that people need to address issues that are affecting their lives are quite intimate and personal and deeper than can easily be shared in a workplace. Sometimes folks develop relationships with one another that support each other through positive change. Sometimes that support keeps people locked into behaviors and limits our ability to broaden our perception of how the world is and how we are in it. And so there does need to be, within that dynamic, a catalyst that continues to open up the possibility that the horizon is broader than what the group sees it as. And so, you know, we've been very blessed at United We Can that we've had these ongoing kind of intrusions into what otherwise could become insular, but part of that is the business dynamic, which forces us to respond to an expectation in a way that, well, in a very real way that needs to be somehow competitive with what's going on in the broader community, and that opens us economically to at least that part of it. I'm not personally sure whether that's a good avenue, whether economic value is a good avenue to go, but it happens to be a really significant avenue in this society, which is driven by a capitalist motive. And if we're not participating in that, then we're kind of excluded from that part of this society. I think there may well be other kinds of options that can open those doors, but that happens to be what we're in. So we can't just ignore that. But the main thing is to find the ways to open up the possibility that there really is more going on and it is possible to change into something more. So while we don't set up, you know, horrendous hoops for people to jump through, we do try and identify meaningful steps that we can take together, where we can see at least that we can take the next step. We don't necessarily understand the whole plan, and that's an anxiety that we have because we're constantly asked to plan the whole future. You know, we've just gone through a 5-year business planning process that is really necessary and important for us to do, to sort of think about where we're going. But what our experience has been, my experience anyway, and I think the group would concur, is that we can only do that next step. Now, some people's next step is valued differently. For example, we've got a fellow now that's getting his training to drive the truck. Well, not everybody here is going to be able to accomplish that. Others may be able to do accounting, but not everybody here is going to be able to accomplish that. Some people here may be able only to work 8 hours a week or 2 hours a week or whatever. So we try and find a way that recognizes where a person is at, values that, and opens up the opportunity for them to step into something that they can accomplish that's realistic.
That seems to me that something should be in every workplace, and it isn't. I would like to move